Welcome to the Let's Get Entrepreneurial podcast, your go-to resource for navigating the world of entrepreneurship.
In today's episode, we're diving into the Eisenhower Matrix, a timeless tool for prioritizing tasks that's as relevant for today's entrepreneurs as it was for a former president. Join us as we explore how this simple yet powerful framework can transform your productivity and decision-making, steering your venture toward greater efficiency and success.
The Let's Get Entrepreneurial podcast is your ultimate launchpad for igniting ideas and skyrocketing your entrepreneurial dreams. Tune in, buckle up, and let's unleash the entrepreneurial spirit within. Your two hosts will be Professor Gary Palin and serial entrepreneur Ryan Budden.
Hello, Ryan. How are you doing today?
I'm doing brilliantly. What about you, Professor Palin?
Oh, it's always very busy, just going forward one step at a time.
That's what it is sometimes. Yep.
Definitely. Going in the right direction, though. That's important.
Especially when you've got some momentum behind you.
Definitely. Ryan, today I wanted to speak about a concept we have addressed very briefly in past episodes, but I'd like to delve into it much more deeply, and that's the concept of the Eisenhower Matrix. Do you recall talking about that?
Yeah, absolutely. It was the first time I'd ever heard about it was when we talked about it really briefly, so I'm excited to get into it a little bit more deeply with you.
Excellent. For our audience that is not familiar with it at all, the Eisenhower Matrix is a time management tool, and it helps individuals prioritize tasks based on urgency and importance. The origins are attributed to Dwight David Eisenhower, the 34th President of the United States, and also a five-star general during World War II. He was the general that was overseeing D-Day. The matrix is divided into four quadrants. The first quadrant is urgent and important tasks, and they require immediate attention and are critical. You have to do these tasks as soon as possible. Examples are crisis management, urgent client requests, or tax deadlines are examples. The second quadrant is important but not urgent. These are activities that are important for achieving long-term goals, but they don't have an immediate deadline. You want to schedule time to focus on them and ensure that they do not become urgent. Relationship building, long-term planning, skill development are examples of tasks within that quadrant. The third quadrant is urgent but not important. So it's tasks that demand immediate attention, but they don't contribute to the long-term objectives. Many of the meetings you attend, some of the reports that you have to fill out fall into that quadrant. You delegate these tasks whenever possible. The last quadrant is neither urgent nor important. Those are activities that have neither a time sensitivity nor do they help achieve your goals. These tasks are candidates for elimination. Mindless web browsing, excessive television watching, other forms of procrastination. You want to minimize and probably eliminate these tasks to free up times in quadrant number 1 and 2. That's the overview of the Eisenhower Matrix with each of the four quadrants.
Candidate for elimination is putting it very softly. Those are the tasks that you should not be doing.
That's a fact. I'm saying it softly, but throw those and flush those.
Yes, that's exactly right.
This simplifies in my mind the thoughts when I'm having tasks on what should I be doing and the level of focus that I should have on each task. So you have a time sensitivity and an urgency component, as we said, from a time management perspective for the Eisenhower Matrix. I find it a very valuable tool.
Is this something you've written on a whiteboard so you can fill out and change what's in each column, or how do you practice this?
I don't have whiteboards. If I write on the walls of my office, my wife might get angry with me.
Yes, I imagine she would.
I just use the old-fashioned method of a piece of paper, but there are actually apps that are available. I believe one's called the Eisenhower app, where you can do this digitally. And I believe there's another one called the Priority Matrix app.
It's interesting because I'm a big prioritization schedule. I take that very seriously in my day-to-day life. I'm so used to, because I live in the tech world, ranking things 1 through 5. That's the classic, how much of a priority is this? The Eisenhower Matrix makes the distinction on, it could be a 5 of importance, but very low time sensitivity. So you can get it done when you need to get it done. Whereas in my world, you put a 5 there and it means stop doing what you're doing and get it done immediately.
There are times you can get drawn into the quadrant 4 where you don't even realize it's a quadrant 4, but it might be just a natural gravitation. It could be a procrastination. It could be boredom. It could be just a personal interest. But when you look at it, it says that doesn't have a bearing on what I'm doing. Just because I like it doesn't mean I should be doing it.
Absolutely. It's a good thing to keep you on track, or at least to be aware of where tasks are falling.
We were talking about creating AI-generated backgrounds. I spend more time playing with that than I should from moving a business perspective forward, but I just get a kick out of playing with it, and I shouldn't do it, but what the heck.
I fall folly to that quite often, and I am able to rationalize it in my head because I have to teach people about this, so I have to know it really well. I know it very well at this point. Now, if I'm doing it, I'm having fun. Don't get me wrong. If there's a new system and I'm learning it, sure. But my 1,000th hour on Midjourney isn't contributing to my education anymore.
Definitely. And for anyone that's looking at us with our video versus just solely the audio, my background has, from a window view, people playing golf on Mars.
And I'm sitting in some sort of future Japanese garden hallway with blooming trees behind me.
I guess the practice, what we preach, is not an application in this particular case.
Healthy balance, healthy balance. You have to let your creative side and what you're passionate about occupy some time in your life, or what are we really doing here?
With Eisenhower, he was known for his ability to sustain high levels of productivity over a long period of time in his career.
I can't imagine if we compared what important tasks are in my daily life to what important tasks were during his World War II and presidency time. The difference would be staggering.
Planning the invasion of Normandy might have been a little bit more urgent and important than anything we ever deal with.
And imagine the level of stress involved with that. Be overwhelming for the average person.
And then he left that in some simple job like being president of the United States during the Cold War. Loads of fun.
It helps to put it in perspective, doesn't it?
For sure. For those who aspire to go higher in their entrepreneurial journey, we've got something just for you. Coming up next.
Are you ready to unlock your entrepreneurial potential? Introducing the Janus Entrepreneurial Report, your personalized roadmap to success. In just minutes, discover your unique strengths and areas for growth. Whether you're a seasoned business pro or just starting out, the Janus Entrepreneurial Report will help you identify and leverage your entrepreneurial tendencies. Don't wait, visit Prospirit.com and start your journey to success today.
Now, let's dive back into our journey of entrepreneurial insights. The question would be, why is this valuable? I look at it from a perspective of it's a strategic decision-making tool. Prioritization, as you said, you're very big into that. It's very important. But time management is so important in entrepreneurship. I'm always telling my students, time is your enemy. There is never enough time. When they always complain to me, Professor, there's not enough time to complete this project, my response is, welcome to the world of entrepreneurship. There is never enough time. Empowerment, allowing autonomy. We mentioned stress reduction by having this under check. Efficient delegation, because delegation is critical if you're trying to accomplish major tasks, and ultimately long-term success. There's multitudes of value propositions within the Eisenhower Matrix.
And just in general about time management tools, a lot of those attributes hold true. Our listeners, if the Eisenhower Matrix isn't what's standing out to you, just really encouraging very strongly that they have some tool that they're relying on to get a similar effect in their life. The whole checklist just running from top to bottom is just not an effective way of managing your time and will lead to stressing yourself out.
I see so many people will create a list and they start from the top and work their way down. And it's just a mistake because at the bottom could be the most urgent and you're not accomplishing it.
100%. I've done that at periods of my life and it feels good, right? You select the tasks that are really easy off the list. You feel like you're super productive. You're getting things checked off the list. It's a saying for a reason. And then you realize, yeah, you did a bunch of things today, but none of them really progressed the organization or the idea of the business.
As we know, entrepreneurs face many challenges in many areas. Procrastination and distraction is a major factor. Eisenhower Matrix can address this. Limited resources. That's one that we all face, and this can help you prioritize where should you put your resources.
Without a doubt. This is a really great tool.
Entrepreneurs very often are control freaks. They have difficulty in delegation. This matrix will tell you when to delegate and what to delegate.
It's a good one. Honestly, I am one of those people. I have a very hard time delegating because I struggle with the thought of it's not getting done the way I would get it done. I've learned and adapted over my career, and I've built people that I trust that I can delegate to. But it's hard when you first start doing it.
If you're a perfectionist, that makes it more difficult. I came to the realization that perfection was too expensive, and people wouldn't pay for perfection very often. In some cases, they do. Very good or excellent is really all you need to bring it to. Spending that extra 10 hours to make it perfect from excellent is not a cost-effective means of operating.
I think we're operating on different levels here. You're going for perfection. I was just going for like my flavor of good. If it didn't match my flavor, I thought it wasn't good enough. Whereas oftentimes what I've found through delegating is if you trust the process and let that person do it, you might end up with a better end result. It's not what you would have done, but it might be better than what you could have done.
Well, you were saying that is that you weren't pursuing perfection. It gave me a flashback, and I says, oh, yeah, I remember the papers you handed into me. Yeah, you weren't shooting for perfection.
Oh, man, that's too good. Unrealistic expectations of college kids.
You just left that lane too wide open for me, Ryan.
That's too good.
Another challenge that entrepreneurs very often face, and again, the Eisenhower Matrix is a solution to this, is decision fatigue. And I know you've done studies on decision fatigue and the impact and how many decisions you actually have in the course of a day. This can help with that fatigue.
Big time, especially managing when you are fatigued. What's the best thing for you to be doing at that time? I've done some research into it. No doubt that we all do face this decision fatigue. You can build that endurance up the same way you would for long distance running or weightlifting. Look at any president's schedule, and it's insane how many hours a day they're making mission critical decisions, hour after hour after hour. The average person could not sustain that level. It's clear that they, throughout their career, have done something to build up that endurance to be able to still making effective decisions. And I think something like the Eisenhower Matrix can help with that. The fluff stuff that's still taking up mental energy, you can delegate, get off your plate, or not even do if you're in that low emphasis, low importance.
As I was thinking and planning for this particular episode, I thought, okay, so people are going to be looking at the 4 quadrants, but how do they execute was the question I came up with. So I came up with a 7-step process.
Let's hear it.
First step is list all your tasks. Put them on a list. The second is then take that list and categorize the task according to the matrix. So you have your matrix, be it your whiteboard, be it your Eisenhower app, whatever tool you're using. Step 3 is then prioritize those tasks. Focus on the quadrant 1 task first. Quadrant 2 tasks next. Then quadrant 3, you're delegating tasks if possible. Then you eliminate quadrant 4. So you're prioritizing, and that's your sequence. Step 4 is schedule the task. When are you going to accomplish each of those tasks? Then 5A is you're doing a loop, reviewing and adapting. Step 6 is reflect on your process. And then step 7 is communicate and delegate with your team.
I think that would be a cool list to publish at the bottom of the podcast.
Oh, you just gave me more work.
That or our listeners can hurriedly write it down.
Now, I'll put that in the description. That's easily done. But I think that's an easy sequence to how do I accomplish this?
100%. It'll increase the effectiveness for sure.
And as I mentioned, there's technology available, but you can't simply do it the old-fashioned way of putting it on a piece of paper or a whiteboard. Before we conclude, any final thoughts on the Eisenhower Matrix?
Time management tools are absolutely critical, and the really successful entrepreneurs that I interact with all have some time management tool. Nobody is willy-nilly attacking this from the hip.
I would agree with you 100% on this. If someone's not familiar with it, take a real serious look at it. Try it for a month to see what happens and what are the results of this, and keep track of the results on this. I'm fairly confident you'll see substantial improvement in your ability to move tasks forward and to resolve issues that you're facing on a daily basis.
And if you do it, let us know. It'd be awesome to hear some feedback on how it's affecting people.
Yeah, I'd love to hear that. Well, let's get entrepreneurial.
Let's get entrepreneurial.
As we wrap up another episode of the Let's Get Entrepreneurial podcast, We extend our gratitude for your presence and attention. Your dedication to the entrepreneurial spirit fuels our passion for creating this podcast. Check out profspirit.com to discover resources and courses designed specifically for innovators like you. Stay on the cutting edge by following us on Spotify, Apple Podcast, YouTube, and other platforms as it is released. Until then, keep the entrepreneurial flame burning.